Hey everybody and welcome back to Semi Stories. Today we got some stories from r/TrueOffMyChest, starting with OP who found out after 18 years of marriage that his kids are not actually his. My wife Kelly and I have known each other for over 20 years and have been married for 18 years. We have two 17-year-old twins, a boy and a girl, and I found out that they aren't mine 2 days ago. My kids got those ancestry tests for the family and we found out that I am not their father. Kelly and I met each other as co-workers at a job right out of college. We were very ambitious, so after working for a couple of years, we decided to start our own business. We fell in love and a year after starting our business, we got married. A couple of months into the marriage, we had a massive fight over the direction we wanted to take our business in and I left our home. She came to me a couple of weeks later and we compromised. We have been inseparable ever since. Kelly got pregnant around that time. We've been through thick and thin. Our business has been through several hardships, but we weathered them together. We were always there for each other. We could always depend on each other. I loved her so much. She was a part of me and I couldn't even imagine a life without her. I trusted her absolutely until this happened. Kelly has been crying and apologizing constantly. She told me that during the time we had that fight at the start of our marriage, she got drunk one night and slept with a random guy, and that she has not cheated on me since. The betrayal has left me disoriented. I told Kelly I needed some time to process this and I'm currently staying at a hotel. I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. The last 2 days have been a blur. I feel like a zombie, completely unable to feel or process anything. I don't intend to abandon my kids. I might not be their father, but I'm still their dad, and I love them dearly. Right now, I'm sitting on my hotel bed and I have not eaten anything today. My thoughts are a mess, so I'm writing this down to help me process. Kelly has always been a great wife and an excellent business partner. I don't know if I'll ever be able to look at her the same way again, or if I'll be the same person again. I don't know how to move forward. Later on, OP posted a first update. Thank you for the overwhelming response I got on my post. I wrote it down to clear my head and get my thoughts in order. The day after my post, I called my children and told them I loved them. They were scared that I might leave them. I told them that they're still my children, even though I'm not their biological father, and that I won't be abandoning them. I just needed time to think about my relationship with their mother. I saw several comments telling me that they're not my children because they don't have my DNA, but it matters very little to me. I raised them and they're my children. I spent time thinking how to move forward with Kelly after this. I was angry that she hid the fact that she slept with someone else after we got married. I calmed down and really thought about the whole situation. I really wanted to call my lawyer to talk about separation, but kept thinking about our life together, so I decided to talk to Kelly and give her a chance. I decided to call her and went back home the next day. The kids were thrilled to see me and we spent some time together. Kelly and I went up to her room after that. I didn't speak to her properly since we saw the results. I gave her time to talk. Kelly told me that it had never occurred to her that the kids couldn't be mine. She told me that when we had the fight early in our marriage, she was angry at me for leaving over a business dispute. After waiting for me to return, she went to a bar and got wasted. She picked up some guy and didn't remember much of what happened that night. The guy was gone before she woke up the next day and she felt extremely guilty after that. She wanted to tell me but was afraid that I would leave her. To be fair, I was a hot-headed and stubborn guy back then, so I would have probably filed for a divorce without a second thought. To her, it was a drunken mistake that would have never come out, so she didn't want to risk our marriage. And I would have never found out about it if she didn't get pregnant that night. She broke down multiple times and apologized constantly throughout the conversation. I believe her story. Kelly has been my rock and partner throughout my life, and I wouldn't be where I am today without her. We trusted each other absolutely. This ordeal has made a massive dent in my belief in her as a wife, but I still trust her as a partner. We had long conversations about our future, and I told her I was willing to give us a chance. I made it clear that we might not succeed and I might leave, but I was willing to try. I assured my children that no matter what happened in my marriage, I would always love them and be their father. We decided to give marriage counseling a try. My wife asked a therapist friend of hers and she recommended a counselor. We have an appointment starting next week. About half a year later, OP posted a second small update. We are still together. Our relationship has mended. I won't say it's like before because it never will be, but we are in a very good place. Getting to this place wasn't easy. There were days that I felt like I was wasting my time because I couldn't trust her anymore, but Kelly was very patient with me. Therapy helped immensely. Whenever I felt like giving up, my children were my motivation to keep trying. It was a difficult journey, but I am incredibly lucky that I was able to mend my relationship. This is my advice. You are not obligated to try and fix your relationship if you feel that it has been irrevocably damaged. I decided to try because I love my wife deeply and trusted that she was telling the truth. We had been through so much, both in business and in our relationship. And I knew I had to at least try and save it. Even after you try, you will most likely fail, and that's okay. Also remember that people will judge. I made the original post to organize my thoughts, and I had people calling me a cuck and many other names even a year later. I don't care about that, but you might. What a good story, and I'm glad that they're trying to reconcile. Let's dive into it. I think personally that everyone at some point should try therapy, because I sure as hell feel like it saved my life more than once, and it can always help make your situation better by understanding your emotions and what causes certain feelings. When you're not in the right headspace, and especially in a volatile situation like this one, therapy can help you step on the brakes, so you can think over things and you don't do something that you're going to regret later. I commend OP for staying and taking care of his kids. Of course, the relationship with his wife will never be the same, but I think it's big to put the children, even though they aren't his, first. They are innocent after all. I think it's a horrible thing that the wife did by cheating on him, but the worst part is that she didn't even say anything for years in the hope that OP would never find out. I personally don't know what I would have done, but an alarming amount of people in the comments keep calling OP a simp for staying with his wife and taking care of someone else's kids. But I think that's just an immature Andrew Tate look at something like this. Shows they have probably never experienced love themselves, which is also quite sad. They were both young, and in the same way that he used to be stubborn and hot-headed, she made a mistake. It's the same as condemning someone in prison for the rest of his life for a slip-up when they were young. Now, when I say that, I do not think cheating is alright in any way, and she is still definitely the bad guy, but it sounds like she's at least trying to mend things. Her punishment will be that the man she loves might never trust her again, and she'll have to live with that forever. So, what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments. Our next story is in a similar vein where OP finds out that his kids are not actually his, but this guy had a different approach to our last story. About a month ago, I found out that both of my children were the result of my soon-to-be ex-wife's affairs. I've had a feeling for a while now that both of them were not mine. 6 years ago, when my son was born, I was the happiest I had been in my entire life. I had married my best friend. We had a child together. Everything seemed amazing. That was until he started getting older. After a few years, I started to have doubts that he was actually mine. He did not look like my child. The more he started to grow, the more I realized just how different he looked compared to what I would expect from a child of mine to look like. Now, I'm not petty or paranoid enough to let that alone drive me. It was my prostitute of a wife that really set my alarms off. Whenever she went out, she never went where she said she did. She would have huge holes in her schedule and could never explain them to me. She would refuse to allow me to interact with anyone from her workplace, and a close friend of hers accused her of flirting with her significant other at the time. It did not help that soon after our son was born, her lies started to catch up with her. Still though, I loved her like the fool I was. She told me up and down how much she loved me whenever one of her lies caught up with her. She had convinced me that despite the fact that she was a lying and manipulative woman, that she wasn't a lying and manipulative prostitute. Last year she got pregnant again, and I still held out a little bit of hope that it was mine. But when her daughter was born, it was obvious she was mixed race. I refused to sign the birth certificate, and the paternity test I demanded afterwards proved my suspicions right all along. Neither of them are mine. The day I got those test results were the day I filed for divorce from that prostitute and walked away from the family I had created. I knew that it would destroy her son's life to see me walk out. Despite my concerns, I was the best dad I could be to him. I loved him with all my heart and put 110% into being the father that he deserved. Now though, when I see him, I am filled with disgust. Disgust for my prostitute of a wife. disgust with myself for not trusting my instincts, and disgust that the last 6 years of my life have been for nothing. I've been told by multiple people now that I am a monster for leaving my son like this. My ex has tried on multiple occasions since I moved out to use him to guilt me into getting back with her. She will have him call me at random hours of the night crying and begging for his daddy to come back. The day I moved out, she paraded him into the room as I packed my things to show me how much damage I'm doing. In every conversation that he has brought up, both online and off, I am berated and shamed. That despite the fact that I'm not the boy's biological father, I am his dad. What I have sadly now realized is that, to most, my own feelings mean nothing. My parents are my only supporters through all of this, with my own siblings calling me a despicable person for abandoning a child like that. My feelings of betrayal and sadness mean nothing because of a child that is involved. I know it is not his fault. I know that the man he called his father for his entire life just walked away. But why am I expected to man up? Why should I have to pretend everything is fine and do not feel contempt for this entire situation? Why should I put my own life and feelings aside? I was never the boy's father. I loved him like one, and I honestly still do, but I would come to hate and contempt him if I had to play that role. I hate myself for not standing up and taking my own life back into my own hands. He is not my child, and even though it is not his fault, he's not my problem anymore. Later, OP posted the first update. Wow, this post certainly blew up. Guess airing my dirty laundry accomplished something. Anyway, I've seen a few common questions, so I'll just answer them here. 1. Her son knows the truth of why I left. I sat down and told him that I am not his father, and that his mother lied to me and cheated on me. I made it clear that I'm not mad at him, that it's not his fault this is happening, and no matter what, I will still think he's an amazing kid. 2. Some are saying that I never loved him, or was always looking for a way out. It's hard to convey emotions in a text post like this, and even harder to allow vitriolic hatreds towards your prostitute of a wife decontextualize the last 6 years of your life. You can believe what you want though. 3. I have a lawyer. I'm not going to be paying child support or alimony. Last though, for those who say I should stay in my son's life and be his father, that's not realistically possible. I do not hate him, but I've been cheated on, lied to, and used by a vile, self-centered prostitute who has now caught her children up in her lies and deceit. He is a casualty of her actions, and blameless. However, it can never change the fact of the harsh reality we find ourselves in. I don't hate him. I feel so sad when I think about how he feels, but all I see when I look at him is 6 years of my life I was lied to. 6 years of my life I was used. And 6 long years of built-up doubts and frustrations with a woman who used me. There is no putting aside my hatred to try and be in his life, because the life I lived with him was nothing more than a facade cultivated by his mother. This is the harsh reality I find myself dealing with, and I simply cannot in good faith put myself or him through any more. OP then posted a second update. I noticed many people criticizing the word I used very profusely to describe my soon-to-be ex. I just wanted to say that the place I am right now is the darkest I've been in my entire life. I see nothing but white-hot rage for the woman who ruined my life. Is what I said inappropriate? Is the word I used to describe her dehumanizing and vile? Yeah, I will admit that, but I won't apologize for it. What I wrote here today was the truth of the world as it is to me right now. It is the raw, unadulterated stream of consciousness of a flawed man. I do not intend to try and get people to hate women or to push some misogynistic message about how women are terrible. That's not my goal here, and that is not the message of this post. I understand why people do not like the word I used here, and you know what I accept as valid criticism for what I did here today. I came here today to simply find some outlet for the situation I find myself in. To rant, mourn, and to deal with the complex and raw emotions that have torn me apart for the last month. A place where I can freely speak my mind. And you know what? I did that. Today was pretty alright thanks to you guys. Again, to everyone who showed me love and support, thank you from the bottom of my flawed heart. To those who came here disagreeing with me but showed me respect, thank you as well. After the shame and ridicule I faced in my real life, the respect you showed me despite your disagreement was nice. So long, and thanks for all the fish. Again, same as with the last story, children are innocent, and this is clearly a split decision he is making in the wake of all of this. But I do understand his desire to want to leave this heartless woman. In the last story, the wife made one mistake and left it at that. In this one, she's sleeping around constantly. OP is harsh and filled with a lot of emotion in the story, and it shows. But the true villain of the story, who should be getting all of the hate and not him, is the wife. Her actions ruined not just his life, but also the life of her son, who will grow up extremely conflicted, always in the back of his mind thinking that he's the reason his dad left. OP is in his right to not pay child support or alimony. Let the real dads who recklessly slept around deal with that. I think OP is fully in the right in this story, and although I prefer the happy endings, this man has been beaten down and humiliated by his ex-wife. So I expect nothing less than for him to leave her and hopefully forget about them forever. If you like these stories, please let me know by liking the video and subscribing to the channel, and I will catch you all in the next one. See ya!